This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
As an innovation leader, one of your key missions is to motivate your teams, support your teams, and help them learn good innovation habits. Now, this does not occur just in big events, big sessions, all hands meetings, team meetings. This process of actually encouraging good innovation habits needs to occur in each and every moment, each and every interaction you have with your team. So what I'm going to share with you today are the 6 questions I ask. Now, I don't ask all 6, but I tend to weave these in and out in every one-on-ones that I have with my direct staff and when I do skip levels, meaning I meet one-on-one for the individuals who actually meet with my direct staff. So that way they're hearing directly from me and I'm hearing directly from them. Now, here are the 6 questions. Now, you have to understand a little bit of context of how I operate. One is this year in my organization, we are really embracing a redefinition of setting objectives. I've always hated the objective setting process. I think it can be somewhat limiting. Sometimes people will use it as a scorecard for end-of-year performance or bonus calculations. And what I look at objectives for is to kind of convey the long-range vision. So this year, we've actually put out what we call the 3-year long-range goals. So these are goals that will last for 3 years. This is to kind of get people out of the 1-year kind of traditional budget / bonus / pay increase thinking and really to think long-term. And then you set your objectives of where you're going and then key results of how you're going to get there. So if you're not familiar with OKRs, go online. There's lots of information about it. It started with Andy Grove at Intel back in the 80s, who I fortunately had the opportunity to actually spend some time with Andy when he was at Intel. And I was a young buck engineer. I was doing some work for Intel at the time. And I got my ears boxed by Andy. That's a whole different story. But what I'm going to share with you are the 6 questions that I weave in or part of the conversations that I have with, like I said, my direct reports and my skip levels. So I meet one-on-one with the people who will report to my direct reports. Now, I don't just run through the list each and every time, but you'll get a feel for why I ask these questions and why they're important and how they reinforce good innovation habits. But more than just innovation habits, it's also just about good leadership. Because everybody that I'm meeting with, I should say not everybody, 90% of those people that fall into my direct reports in the skip levels are leaders themselves. They have people reporting to them. So what I'm trying to do is modeling leadership so that they in turn model it with their staff. So what I typically start off any one-on-one conversation with a team member is asking them what went well since we last met. Now, this sometimes will fall into an OKR discussion. So where are they at with their objectives and key results? How are they doing? What have they been able to make progress on? So I'm giving them right out of the gate the opportunity for them to talk about what is going well, where they've had some success, where they've been able to make some progress. And that's important. We all like to kind of talk about things that are going well, things that I've been able to achieve. We're all looking for that kind of, pat on the back. Look, it's hard to go through a career and not have anybody act as your cheerleader. And as a leader, you are the cheerleader for your people. You're there to motivate. You're there to steer them. You're here to guide them, coach them, mentor them. So do the job. In this case, let them share with what is going well with whatever their objectives, however you do objective settings within your team. And I always start off with that to give them an opportunity to say what is going well. Now, this sometimes can be a little you got to be a little careful about not making it sound false. You're not wanting to pat somebody on the back each and every time. You want sincere appreciation, sincere enthusiasm, sincere support, not the false like, oh, you're doing great. People read right through that. So this is an opportunity to ask them the question, what went well since we last met? And then sit back and shut up. Let them steer that part of the conversation. Let them talk through what is it that they've been working on, what have been their priorities, where have they made some good progress. You can ask a follow-up question about, what's next after that, to kind of stay in the loop on where they're going to head and where they're going to steer to. You can give them, some coaching and mentoring on that. Also, you can ask them about, who played a key role in that success, who helped you, who on your team played a key role. Because again, in my case, the people I'm interacting with are also leaders themselves. So wanting to reinforce that innovation is a team sport. So when I ask them about what went well since we last met, you want to make sure that they also get in the habit of sharing credit. Who else was part of that? Who helped you? Who outside your department helped you? Did finance play a key role in getting something done really, really quickly for you so that you can get a piece of equipment or parts or something in on an expedited basis? Did IT play a role? Hey, did even facilities do something to help you be successful? So the first question is what went well since we last met? Now you can imagine what the second question is. The second question is what went wrong and what did you learn from it? Now here's the key point. We will always have things that go wrong. We will make mistakes. There's things that'll go wrong that are outside of our control. The key is putting them on the table, encouraging people not to hide the mistakes, not to hide what went wrong, but to put it on the table, share it, and then talk about what did you learn from it. The habit here that you want to reinforce with your team is when things are not going well, always look at that next level of what did I learn from this? What could I take away from this effort, this experiment, this thing that went wrong? What is it that I can learn from it? And then more importantly is it's great if you learn it and you have it in your head, but you can actually help the organization by sharing it with others. So other people learn from the mistakes you made or the mistakes your team makes. So again, what went wrong and what did you learn from it? And again, this is about digging a little deeper. It's not just hey, we missed the delivery by 3 weeks. We committed to this date, but we didn't deliver it on this date. Well, what did you learn from it? Well, we did we thought we would have this done by this time, or we were dependent on a supplier getting us something and it was late coming in, et cetera, et cetera. What did you learn from it? Well, next time we need to move that up in the process. We need to identify all those key elements and make sure we get that done up front so we're not waiting for it at the very end. Great. That's a great learning. How do we share that learning? How do we make sure that it isn't just you, but it gets part of just the overall process within our organization? So again, the key here is not just to ask these questions, but to dig a little deeper, because you're wanting to coach and mentor and model good innovation behavior. And the innovation behavior on this one is look, we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to try projects. We're going to try to create an innovation, and it's going to fall flat on its face. In fact, a good innovation team will have an 80 to 90% failure rate. Each one of those failures, there's something to learn from it. But it doesn't help by just having one person learn it. If you've got a learning, find a way to share it across the organization so that others can benefit from that learning. That is key for good innovation skill, and it's also good for good leadership skills. And even if the leader says, I made this mistake, standing up in front of his team or standing up in front of the entire organization saying, here's what we were trying to do, here's the assumption I made, here's the mistake I made, and here's what I learned from it, is actually quite liberating to the organization, because others can say, if that leader is willing to stand up there and share a mistake, an issue either he or his team made, and here's the learnings they made, then I don't need to be so worried and stressed out about every little mistake I made. This is an organization that supports experimentation, supports people trying things, and it's actually rewarded by the fact of you get to be part of the leadership in helping the organization learn and become better at being a high impact innovation organization. So stay tuned. We've only covered 2. We have a total of 6 questions. 6 questions great leaders ask their employees. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. As a leader within your organization, the key is to model good habits, good innovation habits. We've covered the first 2 questions. We've got 4 more to go. The next one is one that I particularly find interesting from the standpoint of giving people permission to go fix things. So what's question number 3? What did you find that was broken or could be improved? And what did you do to fix it or improve it? I'm going to give you that question again. What did you find that was broken or could be improved? And what did you do to fix it or improve it? The point here is there's lots of people in your organization who can go around and probably figure out and point at things that are wrong, right? What you want to do is encourage people to actually not only see things that could be improved, but actually improve it. Actually do something about it. It's not somebody else's job. We're all in this team together. If you see it, fix it. Just don't point it out for other people. If there's something that they can do to fix it, go fix it. And this is also part of what I try to encourage within my organizations is that we don't worry about silos or turf, right? It is not about, well, that's not my job, that's their job. I'm focused on here, but they should be fixing that, and they're not doing their job. Nope. You see it, you fix it. And that includes everything from the innovation processes or some activity around an innovation project. If you see something going wrong and you can help and you can fix it, go fix it. In my organization, we prepare a big set of demos around what we call our innovation funnel. And I want to give you an example of just a phenomenal amount of teamwork, something that I am incredibly proud of for my organization. There was a team working on an innovation project that was running into some technical challenges. Their demo wasn't coming together. The timeline was coming up due. We had a big event. They were supposed to be showing off this very impressive demo, and they were just running into some issues. I happened just to walk down into their lab to see how it was going, what it was going to do. It's not in my area of expertise, so there wasn't a lot of value that I could add to finding the solution. But when I walked in, there was actually people from all over the organization, all contributing their bits and pieces of expertise to do whatever they could do to help that team achieve that their objective of having their demo ready. You know, people with all kinds of test equipment and software engineers helping, looking at code, to people who deal in wireless technologies. I was just blown away, and it made me incredibly proud of the teamwork that was exhibited. This is what you need in a high-impact innovation organization. So the question again is what did you find that was broken or could be improved, and what did you do to fix it or improve it? You want to encourage your individual contributors and your leaders to not just sit back and say, oh, they've got a problem over there. See, they've got a problem. If you can help, you can fix it, you can improve it. It's in everybody's job function to go help and go improve. And it breaks down the silos within organizations. And for me, silos are the number one angst for me and for preventing innovation success. And then this also kind of feeds into the next question. Question number 4. What did you do to help create a motivating environment? And then that's our kind of a follow-on question to that is, who did you catch doing something right? So, what did you do to help create a motivating environment? And who did you catch doing something right? So the motivating environment is encouragement, um, you know, pats on the back, recognition. Um, we in my organization we do cards and gift cards, right? So if somebody from a completely different part of the organization helped your team out and do something, you could submit them for recognition, and they get a gift. They get a American Express, Visa, MasterCard gift card that they can go take their family out to dinner as kind of a recognition. How do you create a motivating environment? If someone stops you in the hall and pitching you an innovation idea, how are you reacting? What's your facial expression? Do you have your arms folded across your chest, or do you lean in to give them a feeling that you're really engaged, you're listening? Do you smile? Do you give them a sense of encouragement, or do you walk away saying, we've already tried that, right? How do you create a motivating environment? And then as a leader, who did you catch doing something right? Right? So they exhibited a good habit. Somebody on a team actually crossed over into the silos and helped someone with their innovation project, with their demo, and that made that demo a success. You caught somebody doing the right thing. What did you do? Did you go up and thank them? Did you go up and recognize it? Did you go up and encourage them? What did you do? So what did you do to help create a motivating environment? And who do you catch doing something right? And the best way to motivate is when you find someone doing something right, reinforce it. Make a public recognition so everybody sees that what they did is the actions that you're looking for within your team and within your organization. So part of creating that motivating environment is to find people doing the right thing and make a public recognition to say, hey, Joe, you did the right thing. I really appreciate that. That's a great example of teamwork. And that project became even more successful because of your contribution. Thank you. And by doing that in a public forum, people go, that's what I need to do to get good recognition and get good reward for doing the right thing. It helps point out to others the habits and activities, good innovation habits, that you want your entire organization to do. Now, some of this may sound pretty logical. If you've been a leader for a long time, you might say, I know this, right? Trust me. I've been a leader for a long time. I've been a senior executive of a public company since 1996. But you tend to forget, right? These are just good reminders. And these are things that you don't stop. You just don't do it and think, okay, I got my team kind of on track. I don't have to do this anymore. You need to do this every time, every one-on-one going forward, because it's really easy for you as a leader to step back and slide out of the habit. And then it's just as easy for your team members to slide back and fall back into old habits. These are things and reinforcements that just need to happen over and over and over again. So we've covered the first 4 questions. We've got 2 more to go. We'll be right back after this quick break. So far we've covered 4 of the 6 questions. We're talking about the 6 questions great leaders ask their employees. We've covered the first 4. What's number 5? Number 5 is, what roadblocks are you facing that I could help clear for you and your team? What roadblocks are you facing that I could help clear for you and your team? This reinforces the role of what a leader is. I jokingly sometimes will remind leaders that their job is to be the BS filter. Their job is to keep the BS away from their teams so that their teams can be productive. Right? So, albeit I may be a CEO, but my job is to try to keep my teams shielded away from all of the outside BS going on so that they can stay heads down and focus on what it is important. And that is for us, since we are an R&D and innovation lab, it's about people working on the next great idea. So for the roadblocks, it could be anything. It could be, something as simple as getting something approved through purchasing. It could be getting a piece of equipment or getting approval for something completely differently. Now, many cases, after I've asked this question a few times, most people will stop asking, right? Because they feel like it kind of sounds a little silly. This is something pretty minor. I try to reinforce with them that anything that I can do to help, given, in many cases within my organization, my technical skills are not a value add to the work that they're doing. I've got, unbelievably brilliant people on my teams, and they are doing absolutely amazing deep science, deep technology innovation work. And the best thing that I can do is to stay the heck out of the way and keep everything else away from them. So I have to constantly remind them that it doesn't matter how small or how minor. If they can take care of it themselves, then they should take care of it. What I'm looking for are the things that they've tried to take care of, they can't get taken care of, or something that just is a repeated thing. I remember I met with a gentleman who's still with us, who was relatively a new hire at the time, and we're just chatting with him in the hallway and asking his thoughts on what he liked about the organization and the company. And he laughed. And keep in mind, this individual came from a government. He worked for the government and came to us. And I said, so how's it going? He says, well, I love the organization. I says, however, he says, I never thought I would run into an organization that had a harder, more complex expense reporting system than the government. And I was totally shocked. And that actually caused me to spend a lot of time and task both HR and our finance department to completely rethink how we do expense reporting. Because we literally were having people keep every little receipt down to $1. We had to have everybody keep every little piece of paper. They used to call it craft day because they had to tape it on an 8.5 by 11 in a certain way so that finance could check it off and all that. And we've gotten rid of all of that. But that was a friction. That was something that was just annoying to the organization. Nobody else had mentioned it. This individual, relatively new to the organization, talking with me in the hallway, mentions it. And those are the things as leaders we need to take. That's BS. That's the BS filter. Get rid of that stuff because it's just friction in the organization. So I always ask, particularly my leaders, but even the individual contributors, what roadblocks are you facing? What's the friction in the system? What's slowing you down? What's preventing you from spending more time on your research, on your innovation? What roadblocks are you facing that I could help clear for you and your team? And nothing is too small. Expense reports, I'll tackle that. Travel approval, I'll tackle that. Anything that causes friction, I want that completely out of the system so that the people that we are hiring to do the research work is spending the time doing the research work. And look, I've gotten all kinds of requests, right? In fact, another example without using names, I have an absolutely brilliant engineer, been with the organization far longer than I've been there. And this is a gentleman who invents 24/7. He has his own workshop at his house. He's working on ideas for us on weekends at his home, constantly just generating ideas. So somebody in the finance department came by and said, hey, so-and-so put a request in for this piece of equipment. And before they could even tell me the price, I said, get it. They're like, well, I haven't told you the price. I don't care. Whatever we would spend is going to go to good use. He is not frivolous with his spend, right? And he is the most prolific inventor we have in our organization if you just go by sheer number of patents. So if he wants it, get it. And in fact, short of it being something like really extreme, if he requests something, just do it. We don't need to go through the approval process. of having to have me sign off on every stinking PO, right? It's that tone that I'm trying to create within the organization of just use common sense and keep the ball rolling and don't let sand get in the gears to slow us down. The pace of innovation is accelerating. It is not slowing down. We have to find ways to drive productivity and efficiency. And one way to do that is to take all the administrative stuff out of the way, and not get caught up on signature level approvals and someone's making a request for a piece of equipment and therefore it must be 5 signatures before it gets ordered. No, come on, let's go. Move. So what roadblocks are you facing that I could help clear for you and your team? And the 6th question, this is kind of that open-ended question near the end of the session, is what else would you like to talk about? Is there something on your back of your mind that maybe you're kind of been hesitating to talk about? What is it? Open forum, direct talk is appreciated. We actually, we have a core value of what we call candor with respect. No game playing. We don't do passive aggressive. If you do passive aggressive in our organization, you won't last long. You'll get found out. It's candor with respect. You talk with people, not about people. And so this is an opportunity for them to be open and honest and transparent. What else is it they want to talk about? Career plans. I've had people come talk to me about family situations. We had one employee who had a particularly challenging family situation, and then come to find out our health benefits didn't cover this one situation. And we went and we actually just approved it over and above and top the medical plan, right? Because it was a big distraction for this employee, and it was personally critically important. And it was just one of these little edge cases that the normal health insurance policy wouldn't approve. And we just said, forget it. We're self-insured anyways. We're paying the bills. Just approve it. And in fact, we actually changed insurance carriers the next year because of that. And so give them an opportunity to share with whatever, and protect that confidentiality and protect that conversation so that they feel comfortable in raising those issues. So again, let's review the 6 questions. Number 1, what went well since the last time we met? Number 2, what went wrong and what did you do? What did you learn from it? Number 3, what did you find that was broken or could be improved, and what did you do to fix it or improve it? Number 4, what did you do to help create a motivating environment? And who did you catch doing something right? Number 5, what roadblocks are you facing that I could help clear for you and your team? And number 6, what else would you like to talk about? Now, I don't run through all 6 of these questions every time. I'll weave them in depending on the topic and how much time we have. But I want to gather and stay in touch with all of these elements for my direct reports and my skip levels to better understand how the organization is working and what is it I as a leader can do to make them successful. So hopefully you found this useful. The 6 questions great leaders ask their employees. Don't go anywhere. We do have a new episode of 5 minutes to 2 new ideas coming up right after this break. And if you've got any questions like this or other topics you would like for me to cover, drop me a note over at phil@killerinnovations.com. We will have these 6 questions and the background information posted over at killerinnovations.com. So if you're in your car, don't worry about writing down notes. You can go hop over and get to see those. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after this break. This segment of the show I call 5 Minutes to New Ideas, designed for the creative mind looking for that next great idea. Each episode will challenge you to think differently about yourself and your business by asking unique, funny, and sometimes crazy questions. Get your notebook out and be ready to uncover that game-changing idea. Here is 5 Minutes to New Ideas. Do you have diamonds stashed away that you can sell if times really get tough? Say a family heirloom or an engagement ring from a failed marriage? Perhaps you know how much that diamond was appraised for by a reputable seller and the feeling of confidence that you can get a reasonable return on your investment. If so, you're in for a disappointing surprise. In the late 1880s, a group of British financiers who'd invested heavily in South African diamond mines grew alarmed at the discovery of a vast new supplies of supposedly scarce gems. They realized that the value of their diamonds was essentially the public's perception of them as both extremely rare and thus valuable, and a sign of sophistication and affluence. This belief about what the diamond merchants were selling would be irreparably damaged if the world's markets were suddenly flooded with the gems. The financiers banded together, formed the De Beers Consortium, and have managed and manipulated both the supply of diamonds and the public's perception of them ever since. In the late 1940s, they coined the phrase, "a diamond is forever," and persuaded young couples everywhere that the purchase of one was an essential symbol of love and devotion. In the late 1950s, they responded to a glut of tiny diamonds from the Soviet Union by creating their idea of, and the market for, the eternity ring. The eternity ring was promoted as a gift for established couples to celebrate their ongoing commitment. Rather than one large diamond, the ring was comprised of a string of tiny diamonds set in a band. Prior to the eternity ring, customers were more interested in purchasing large diamonds. De Beers was able to convince consumers that these small diamonds were equally desirable by creating the idea that the small diamonds represented the passing of years. Smart. Now, even more cleverly, they realized that by marketing the diamonds as both an investment and emotional signifiers, customers would keep them rather than reselling them down the line. You might part with grandma's bond portfolio, but you're far less likely to sell her ring. This sentiment helps keep untold billions of dollars of privately owned diamonds off of the market, thereby keeping the price of new diamonds high. That is a brilliant strategy. However, the actual value of a diamond is negligible. Recently, a friend took a loose diamond to a dealer. She had vague plans of buying a twin for it and making earrings for her daughter. The dealer squinted at the stone for a moment and quoted her $7,000 for a diamond that would match. When she balked, he looked up at her and without blinking an eye, offered to buy her stone for $2,000. She politely declined. The diamond industry has expertly shepherded their customers into thinking and believing certain things about their product. Now, I'm not necessarily advocating this kind of strategic manipulation, but it's an interesting look at how flexible and fluidity De Beers is able to revise what their product actually is. By doing this, they are able to reflect the realities of the existing marketplace and also create markets where there were none. De Beers has answered this killer question, most recently with the creation of the right-hand ring. It was first unveiled in the early 2000s as the luxury goods market was nearing its apex. The right-hand ring is like most engagement rings made of diamonds set in platinum. However, unlike an engagement ring, it is made for women to buy for themselves as a symbol of emancipation and self-worth. I would have loved to have sat in on the concept meetings for the right-hand ring. The diamond industry has been very clever in adjusting their product to both lead and respond to social changes, and I'm sure the right-hand ring is no different. The ring hit at a moment when consumption of big-ticket luxury items felt like a statement of success and self-acceptance. It was a clever idea that subverted what buying a diamond ring traditionally means, turning it from a symbol of commitment and marriage into a declaration of independence and freedom. The diamond industry has managed to create two products that are basically the same thing, yet fine-tuned to two complete different messages for them, and thus creating two completely different markets. At the same time, there is no public sense of a contradiction between them, and thus they've been able to add a whole new audience without compromising their existing one. There is something pretty clever about the way the diamond industry has both manipulated existing markets and created new ones. Their products are imbued with both emotional value and the perception of real value. Owners feel that the diamonds convey a sense of wealth and prosperity, even though the stones are nearly always worth dramatically less than the owners believe. There's also a larger question about the way diamonds are obtained from the third world. However, no one can deny that the marketing minds of De Beers have done a fantastic job at both shaping their customers' needs and criteria and responding to them. So how do you do the same for your organization? By asking yourself, what emotional, psychological, or status benefit could people derive from using my product? Now, warning, it's not that simple. You need to be honest with yourself. Does your product create a connection with the customer that goes beyond just being a good solution to their needs? Can you refine it to reflect the changing needs and desires of your customer? And is there an emotional connection literally between the customer and the product, or between the customer and what the product signifies to them? And are there good or interesting reasons to resist an emotional connection and actively prevent one from developing? You may go the opposite way of De Beers. Now, not everyone can be De Beers, but why can't you be the De Beers in your industry? I'm Phil McKinney, and thanks for listening. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join in. If you have any comments or suggestions, drop me a note over at phil@killerinnovations.com. This episode of Killer Innovations was produced by the Innovators Network. You can find the show notes and the entire show catalog over at killerinnovations.com. I'll talk to you next week. In the meantime, go out and change the world with your killer innovation. Bye-bye.